All right, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 15th of September, 2021. Spy little update today from the past like 4 or 5 red days we've been having now recently. In this little pullback, little 0.8% day after the close here. A decent dollar volume around the horn as well, too, I think, in all the markets. Just to go over some housekeeping, NASDAQ, $192 billion volume. Nice C. That's the Amex. Nice C. $254 billion volume. OTCs. $2.6 billion volume. No real trades for me out there, just kind of scalping and running away. My scan software was kind of bugging out this morning as well, too, so I didn't have any real opportunity to get any hard preparation in on the day, and I didn't really have anything hard on the watch list coming in either that I was very convicted in. And like the very first time I opened up the scanner too, it was like 2 or 3 tickers on the mover that weren't even within my ballpark of affection, to say the least. But kind of watched Bowen, pulled up INDP, which was pretty awesome. That'll go over. Good to see that one, just the huge percentage moves that was put in. It'll be exciting to talk about that one. And then ATER, looking for that red to green, just coming into the market day with, not a lot of preparation. I think I took a little bit of a nap too before the market opened, just to give myself a breather, keep that mental capacity fresh and vitalized for the trading day today, and not trying to force anything, not trying to make anything that isn't there. And I lucked out a little bit today too. I think I could have taken like just super small paper cut losses that I used to normally take a lot, but I think I lucked out today too. And holding myself to a little bit better of risk reward, looking for that move immediately right there, and if it doesn't come, then just cutting it right away, cutting losses quickly, just continuing to stay sharp, stay focused on waiting for that right momentum trade, waiting for that right specific personality trade for me. I think it's going to be key continuing to go on in the future. So let's get into it. INDP. Did I go over everything too? I think, yeah. Okay. INDP, just absolutely insane. Even in the morning session here, even before it went to go tap 28, I could just so easily, I was picturing every single one of the shorts and the crazy type of non-risk, non-stop averse type of traders that just always just look to short these things anytime they spike up, and they get these crappy and stupid entries for their shorts, and they just continue to bag hold no matter how high it goes. I could see them just so easily being destroyed on this one today, whether or not they covered, because they lucked out, they probably ended up continuing to hold the rest of the day, and they ended up being profitable. For where they were shorting today, I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me that now they're going to be rewarded once again. But maybe, looking in hindsight or looking for the future as well too, maybe that's a good thing that now they're going to develop this pattern in their head too, that you just got to hold it, right? It's going to come down eventually. We're going to get some nice movers running once again, coming into the winter months again too. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise of how V-shaped pattern this chart was today, that it could implement that type of mentality, or even worse mentality, to the upside as it shorts into tickers in the near future as well too. So looking at it in that light as well. But coming into my trade specifically, really didn't have any hard set plan going in on it. This is again it doesn't even show a float for me on scans, but I think it's like a 5 million shares outstanding on Yahoo Finance. It said news catalyst was they receive a notice of allowance for a strategic patent. Whoopee, whatever that means. Looking for, of course, trading this one on the tick chart, the tick volume chart, because this, of course, did 1.1 million trades with a $2.8 billion volume on the day. Absolutely insane. Was waiting for all the morning market open craziness to just blow over, maybe the first 10 minutes, see what it wants to do, just let it do its thing, find a path. But of course, it did have this super awesome, pristine little double bottom, triple bottom bounce off of VWAP here that did catapult to the upside to break that pre-market high right into a halt. And when I see this and identify this, I immediately thought of my little trades in the past where I would try to convince myself it was a protection type of trade, where I identify the pattern. I see, okay, we're bouncing off of VWAP. Well, whether it was in pre-market, whether it was in market hours, where I say, hey, I'm looking at this one maybe in a little bit further of a time frame to say I want to take a full size position on this type of trade. But at the moment in time where I'm looking at the chart, or where we're at now, within the first 2-3 minutes of market open still, I see that pattern and say, okay, that's a pretty good hold off of VWAP, to say the least. I think it could go potentially higher. And then, of course, you have these pre-market levels right here that it could explode through to the upside. These are these little moves that just give me that little hit and fix that after I miss them. And then especially, too, now that I'm sitting in that halt for 5 minutes going, man, I should have been in that. I knew it was going to bounce off that double bottom off of VWAP. You know, you're just so super. Those tiny little thoughts and inclinations used to start to wrap around in my head. And that's why I would convince myself, hey, just take for this stock, take a 2-share position, take a 5-share position, super small dollar size risk in regards to if it just absolutely tanks and breaks VWAP and just suffocates to the downside, then okay, yeah, you're down whatever. Even if you lose 100% on that trade, it's still nothing in a sense. But I think I did a lot better too in being willing to just let this one go and saying, okay, yeah, I identified that and I should be feeling FOMO, should be in a sense of like what I used to be doing, trying to avoid with that protection style of trade, protection. But I was pretty much fine with it. Even into the haul here and waiting through this all, I was like, okay, sweet. Yeah, you do you, go, whatever. And I think that kind of was established too because my scanning software wasn't working and it was just a little bit of a slower morning for me in that sense too. So I wasn't so hyper-focused and trying to force things and saying, oh, this is my working day and this is what I got to be doing and people are stopping me from working. And I think I was from the get-go, I was kind of fine with, meh, there it goes without me. And I think absolutely that's the mentality I need to be taking in all of my trading. It's still staying vigilant in who I am as a trader and my trade specifically, but also be willing to say, okay, there it goes without me. I have to be willing to give up that trade in a sense to master that FOMO. So bringing down the price action a little more, we come out of the halts, get a little bit more of a move to the upside, and then we pull back some more, fine, a little basing around 13. And it just got to this point where now we perk nicely right under this new high of day. We're just continuing to hold, push a little higher, pull back, push a little higher, pull back, push a little higher. And then I see this second pull back and I'm going, man, if I keep a super tight risk, I think this one could just continue to absolutely explode. You're cutting off time from that halt. So it's still relatively fresh. We're coming into that 9:45 time frame where professional, real big money is potentially coming into this one to push it more. I think it could just be a nice little explosion. We're right at that $14 mark. We could see $15 being more of a psychological level as well too, compared to 14. But excuse me. So just got a little tiny scalp move on that one that I was actually surprised that it went immediately after my entry. And it was so funny that this trade itself, I made $20 on this trade, whatever it was, within the span of 30 seconds that it was. But this trade, it caused me so much more angst than any recent trade that I remember recently. And I was kind of baffled and taken away. It was like, I was surprised that I was feeling that because it was just so immediate and so fast. And I felt like it was very different than what I feel I've been trading in the past. And maybe that's what it was maybe I was trying something new, or maybe because it just did happen immediately from when I entered. I got a pretty awesome entry here. It just kept riding and perfectly. And now we're basing it like 14.6 here. It did go a little bit more, of course, but taking the opportunity there. And this is not anywhere near an awesome percentage move, but in regards to what I look as a 10% block as an awesome trade. But even that it went initially there, that's really what my plan on it was. And I was just like, oh, okay, that worked. And that was a funny experience. And I had to write that down. That I'm just so surprised of how emotional that 30 seconds got me compared to these past trades I've been in the past few months of what I've been doing. Just interesting note on that one. And maybe that's also tied into the preparation factor of this one, that I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants and didn't have any hard set data on this one or any idea really coming into it. Just, hey, reading the chart, seeing what's there and just going with the flow. That's what this trade was. And looked out on that one for what it was. And so many more opportunities throughout the rest of the morning here as well, with just the insane percentage movement. And again, I could just 100% see so many different times here. Looking at this candle reject, this huge top hook on this one, shorts trying to climb in on that, then getting squeezed to the upside. Then you get a huge reject of that, shorts climbing in. Another reject at a high day attempt here that just barely top wicks above that, shorts trying to climb in on that one, looking to play this, or especially where everybody's trying to add, the people who are already in it. Not only the people who are trying to come in this for the first time, but the people who are still in it from this first initial halt, from this position here, from this one, who are now just bag holding degenerates that are continuing to pile in on this thing. And then you just see the continuous ramp up. This is another awesome opportunity here for how it's curling, holding these higher lows. It's kind of perfectly midday, 11:45 time frame here. We do get the peak just right before noon, precisely, which was interesting to see too. But that's another awesome entry point right before high day for a great percentage move on that one. You just get this hard pullback the whole rest of the day. No real even indication or point of inflection around VWAP, just hard shove through it and continuing to pull back. So I really don't know what it's going to do in the next few days here, what it does tomorrow. Don't know if I have a hard plan on it coming up. This, again, it just is kind of a one and done type of daily chart here in recent memory, but great mover today. Good to see. ATER was my other, little bit of a scalpy trade. Looking for the red to green move on this one. Of course, this one had the hard fade from yesterday, which just continued to die off. And like no even real bounce around that 11 a.m. Eastern time frame where shorts would be covering for the morning session. Just continued to absolutely fade and punish. The volume, in my opinion, didn't really go along with that, to say the least. Of, we have this huge absolute spike of volume for 2 trading days ago. But this red candle day just didn't even really come to match that. Yes, it is larger if you take out that candle. It is larger than these 3 candles for that 3-day run up. But in a sense, it wasn't like it was panicking hard. And of course, this is short sale restricted now from this red day. So looking at, hey, I think it could come back to 11. Maybe we get a full bounce here. Maybe we get a harder push to 12, 13, 14. Test some of these levels again. Seeing some other movers recent to this one, like CEI, that I think I'll mention later in the video as well too, that are putting in some continuing multi-day moves. This could be another one of those. So really watching it from the market open, it just started to die off and peel off, and I was kind of done with it. Kept it on my screen, but just really didn't have any hard focus on it as I was seeing it dying off. Then we just get this straight V, continual green candle, green candle, green candle, green candle, green candle, all the way back to this $11 area, which I don't think I mentioned, of course, became a point of inflection. Looking at the after hours yesterday, where it bounced, where it just kind of fell to, bounced off of, and continued to hold there. Looking at that as the red to green inflection point, as a point to trade. And at that point too, and then it's hard for me to say, okay, is this 11 point really carrying any weight anymore? Because now we're just pretty much perking right to it. Do I have to wait a little bit more? Do I buy immediately out there? I mean, we just absolutely blew straight through 11, which I was surprised to see. It was no amount of resistance whatsoever, just blew straight through. Had a little bit of a pullback here on this red candle, which was a huge volume candle as well. This kind of sell-off, which to me became, you get this huge absolute red candle dump off of this insane perk to the upside, just straight up move. But it still fails to break 11, and you still fail to continue to back on. So for me, in that point in time, I think I traded this one on the tick chart as well. The tick volume. You get this hard pullback, but then it really fails to continue. And now we're just seeing everybody's kind of in standstill, and buyers are saying, oh, is there still more opportunity to go up? And shorts on the other side being like, hey, can I get short here? You put in a lot of selling volume in here. And then this battle comes, and I say, I think this could be an awesome risk reward. Holding that 11, we get plenty of upside potential past this high of day intraday, and that's where we went to. We had a little bit of a reclaim here, or a perfect bounce technically off of that. I'm trying to say, then break to new high of day, but then it just really no more legs after that. Sold off here, and then I cut for break even on that one. And I was surprised. I was pretty surprised to see that it pulls so hard all the way back to VWAP. I thought it would have had maybe you get another second attempt at that high day that doesn't go as high, and then it fades to something else, but pretty much sold off immediately after that. I think this was just, perfectly another fake out, what the volume candle was saying, to bring in that few more extra levels of shorts, trying to play any more downside on this one, but then it just got a few more minutes of upside in it to take all of their cash as well too, and then play it immediately to the downside. So still, it is a green day on the daily in this sense, but it's still not really, yes, it closed higher than it opened, but it's just, there's no buying pressure. This shorts coming from yesterday too weren't so panicky otherwise from this little, what I traded that time frame, but it wasn't like shorts are forced to cover. They can even if you were a big short covering in the morning here, even into the afternoon, you're still sitting decently at this point. So I think potentially a first green day pattern could still come of this. Maybe we get more selling tomorrow, and maybe Friday's the day where it does become an actual first green day type of play with a good move to the upside, good trend of a green day in that sense. But interesting trade on that one, and glad that I cut it for break even. AMC, I had that swing on it. I eventually did cut it. It just had this hard pre-market that was continuing to dump, and then open just very weak and hard red. 45 obviously became my area of keeping my eye on this one. Of course, it was only 2 shares once again, and it just continued to dump even after that 45. Reclaimed a little bit and then started to hold under here, and by freaking golly, now actually reclaimed above 47 for a little bit during market hours. It could still freaking hold it. And, and looking back on it and trying to break it down, this whole swing was based on the trend of, okay, we're now 50, of course, is that huge psychological level. We're now above it. We're still in this little uptrend. Even that red day from yesterday, taking the trend there. It is a pretty high slope of a channel to say that we're just going to go immediately to 60, 65, test these previous highs from the run up. The crazy spiking, what was that? That wasn't even the crazy 2020 spikeage. What am I talking about? But yeah, for this exact swing in a sense, whoa. Yeah, so trading based off of this type of channel, really looking for a continuation of this uptrend and holding of that type of pattern. Whereas now you can, even if it holds today, let me do this again too, and basing it off of this low, we're still kind of trending pretty well in this type of channel. Just a little bit slower of a slope, but hard day for me to hold that, especially with what it did in the morning too as a swing. I'm continuing to develop data, and that's why I took a super incredibly small position size on it, because maybe I did get faked out in this trend. We come have a nice green day tomorrow, break back to the upside of $50 and continue on this trend too. So we'll see. I may be another buyer again too if it shows strength holding that $50 level, especially as it pulled back and faked out a lot of other people. I think it could build in some more strength of potential shorts, long-term shorts jumping on this one, so you can see it die off once again. But very interesting move and good experience on that one today too. EEIQ, man, I'm spending a little bit too much mental capital on this one. Just no dollar volume on this one today whatsoever. Still kind of clinging on to the hope that potentially this one sees some amount of perk in volume, perk in price action. It did have a little bit of a perk in price action. It's just such a low floater, and I think the opportunity is ripe there that we get this nice curl once again. It showed it can do a huge volume day, and that price action on, what day was that specifically? Yeah, last Friday. But potentially holding nicely, pretty choppy, but producing pretty hard green trends when it wants to go the upside, and was just hoping and waiting to see in this specific. I was watching this entire green candle push to the upside thinking, okay, price is moving nicely, but there is no volume to support this. I can't take a trade on this one, even though every part of me wants to, especially that it's now touching that $6 whole level. And it just continued to die off. I am already spending way too much mental capital on it. I think it's definitely coming off my watch list, but just another one to continue to wet my beak in this world of trading and just continue to look at charts and identify what's worth putting my time and mental focus into, or just my side eye at least, in keeping up on. And yeah, it's certainly coming off to just more lessons in the book. That is all the tickers I wanted to mention that I was looking at on the day. Watch this for tomorrow. CEI. Had a nice trade on it yesterday. Coming into today, no plans on it. Thought we would see a little bit of a down day. Actually, I was kind of done with it. Mark Crook was trying to play it to the short side at least, or I think even to the long side, and then trying to play it to the short side in the afternoon. It's holding decently. This is a little bit of a slower mover. That 25 million float, if I remember right. Yep. So, and it's still so far in the run up for how it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, kind of 10 days at least that it's been in this run up, holding these highs, just absolutely tantalizing the shorts who are trying to get so greedy in this one. We'll see what it wants to do tomorrow. See if 1.8 is in play. If 1.7 comes into play again, or if we start trending to the downside, hitting 1.6, 1.5 again too. It'll be interesting to see. ANY, of course, as well, had news midday. This is a little bit of a former runner as well. I forget the float on this one. Not ant, we want ANY. ANY. Float on this one is 19.1 million, hitting that low float mark. News catalyst was launch's first batch of its pro anti-miners, so good crypto news in that sense. A little bit of a former runner. Shows if the volume is there, it can certainly grow legs and sprout to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on it for how it held here. A little bit of a sell-off pullback from that high of day back down to VWAP, but potentially see what it wants to do. It's got a little bit of a $7 whole level going for it as well too, just in the psychological, emotional sense. Keep our eye on it that way. And that is all I had. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. Yeah, a little bit of a scalpy day, nothing hard in the trading sense too, which I'm glad I lucked out a little bit in that sense that I came out green on the day. I'm just trying to not get cocky in any regard or trying to force things that aren't there. I think it's continuing to form me into a better and better trader every single day too, especially doing these video recaps. That's why I do these, continue to talk about it and go over it over and over and over again. Everything I'm seeing, everything I'm doing, just to overemphasize it and force myself into these good parameters to set me up for success in the future. So I sincerely thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.